Hi, thanks for joining us today for BRMC's Healthy Connections. We have Nancy Svella looking lovely in red and Stephanie Hull in her beautiful turquoise. Stephanie, welcome. I know you came all the way up from Little Rock to join us today to talk about Alzheimer's, Arkansas. Give us some information, please.
Okay. Alzheimer's Arkansas has been in existence since 1984. And we provide support services, education for families that are coping with Alzheimer's disease or any related dementia.
And you've partnered with, I know, with the Mruk Family Center on Aging with Nancy Svella. Tell me how you all got together and what you're doing.
Well, I think originally, Donna, I went to their training to become a facilitator for support groups, and that's how I really got to meet Stephanie and Priscilla and all their workers up there. And since that time, we've had them come up, or down I should say, and do programs. It's up.
Oh, up, I think.
It's up.
Well, if you come 14, it's this way.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, they've come to Mountain Home. They've done several programs for us here on dementia and actually some continuing education programs. And they're just such a valuable resource, and I don't think a lot of people realize that, you know, they're here for us.
Right.
Have you found there's a real large need in this area?
Oh, definitely. In the entire state, there's over 100,000 Arkansans with Alzheimer's disease.
Wow.
And that's, you know, that doesn't include cases that are not reported, other forms of dementia. So we know that, you know, statewide there's a huge need, and there are, you know, pockets that are retirement communities that obviously have more of a need. But we have had quite a good turnout when we've done things up here, and you know, we're just happy to go anywhere that someone needs us to come and speak.
When you're doing the support groups, are these not only for the caregiver of someone with Alzheimer's, but are they for folks that have Alzheimer's in the early stages where they know something is different, they know that there's change going on?
Right.
And
most of the support groups are just for the caregivers.
Okay.
It gives them a chance to come in and talk about things that are going on without their person. They can come in and vent if they need to be angry or cry or, you know, whatever they need to do
their loved
without, you
slipping
know,
away,
hurting that person's feelings or saying something that, you know, you say things sometimes that you don't necessarily mean, but they can take it seriously with the disease process. So it gives them that chance to vent and share with others that know what they're going through. We do have one group so far that is an early stage patient and caregiver group. That one occurs in Little Rock. It's something we'd like to do everywhere.
We've actually just started ours in Mountain Home.
Did you? I did not know that.
We just, last month was our first meeting.
Great.
And it is geared towards the patient themselves, that one.
Good.
And so that one, we just started it, and it meets the third Friday of the month at the Mruk Center. So.
Oh, good. See, we just find out all kinds of good things.
About it.
what kind of concerns does someone that has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's? I know that if it serves me well, if this information is still correct, once upon a time the only way that you knew truly if someone had Alzheimer's was upon death and when an autopsy was done of the brain. However, there are tests now that I believe are about 98-99% accurate.
They've done enough scans now and compared them with brains after death to be able to say when they do the scans, you know, 98% accurate that it is actually Alzheimer's disease. But it is still only officially diagnosed at death if the plaques and tangles are present.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What are the patients? I'm always very curious about what does a patient ask that knows they've been diagnosed with Alzheimer's? What are their concerns?
Well, and it does depend on the patient. Some of them, when they're diagnosed, it's almost like, you know, it's in one ear and out the other. And they don't necessarily, they may know something's wrong, but they may not can tell you what is wrong. A lot of times it's the caregivers that are the ones that are dealing with that issue. And one of the things we try to do is get them started down the path of, you know, these things need to be in place, power of attorney, you know, living will, legal things that need to be done, and then go ahead and get them planning for, you know, if A happens, we're going to do this. If B happens, we'll do this. So that they may not ever need those things, but they're in place and they don't have to do that in crisis. Some of the patients, though, you know, the fear, the frustration, you know.
The why me.
Right, right. Severe depression can be, you know, accompany that most definitely.
So you end up dealing with more than just the Alzheimer's and
yes,
throughout
definitely.
this.
And I think there's a curiosity too. They
Depending.
kind of want to know what their future's going to hold, and you know, and it's so important to make them understand that each person's journey with Alzheimer's or dementia is going to be totally different.
Right.
So
Very
Right.
individualized.
Yes.
Right.
Pretty much still across the board as far as who is affected by Alzheimer's.
We know that there's usually more women than men, but I think it's a lot of times because we live longer. They've looked at the link in estrogen to it and have found nothing conclusive. But yeah, usually people that are better educated, further education, you know, higher degrees and things are a little less likely. But also too, they have the resources to compensate for longer. So sometimes we're not seeing it, you know, being diagnosed as early in those people.
I have personal experience with a few people that truly had Alzheimer's because of their capabilities. They could mask it oh so well.
Right.
And you really had to be very present. And I know oftentimes the adult children would miss it because they only saw mom or dad at Christmas time, Thanksgiving, that kind of thing, and mom was bustling around doing the things that she's always done, so it was missed.
A lot of times, the average I think is 3 to 5 years to put a diagnosis together, because you have to get enough pieces of that puzzle and see them doing enough things to go, oh my goodness, you know, we have a real problem, we need to see what's going on. Especially if you've got, you know, a spouse that's showing some signs and the other spouse is just doing what needs to be done, compensating for them. And something happens to the well spouse, and then the children are often, you know, floored that mom or dad is that bad because you know, they'd been compensated for by the other spouse.
And I think the spouse has a tendency to overlook a lot.
Yes.
You know, and they just say, oh, you know, it's not that big of a deal, or they're just getting older, and it's so important.
It's just selective hearing.
That's
they're
right.
Not
You know,
they're not really ignoring me.
Exactly.
Well, and the thing too with the spouses, you know, there's some denial as well. You know, and sometimes when you're right there with them all the time, it's just you start, you know, doing things for them, and you don't really almost realize you're doing as much as you are. And then, you know, when that spouse passes, they find out, well, you know, they were really covering a lot of things for them.
Well, what events? Now, Nancy, I see that you've got some things, a calendar of events.
Well, I do have some events coming up that, of course, we have our Alzheimer and Dementia Support Group that we do. And it'll actually be this Friday. We do it the second Friday of the month.
And that's at the Mruk Family Center?
No, that one we hold at the Van Mater Senior Center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're lucky to have their facility. And if your loved one has Alzheimer's or dementia advanced, the daycare will keep them free while you attend the support group. So
that's wonderful. It's
it really is. It's really just
then you know
a
your
really
loved
nice
one's
service.
safe.
Yes. And then we just, like I said, we just started the new program for those. It's called Early Stage Memory Disorder Group, and it's for anyone that's newly diagnosed with any kind of dementia. It doesn't have to be Alzheimer's, but they can have Alzheimer's, and usually the earlier stages, you know, where they still kind of know something's going on, they understand, and we're trying to do it in a real positive light. You know, of course, we want to give people time to express their feelings and stuff, but we want to try and find ways to help them cope better and to be independent longer. So that's one of our biggest objectives with the support group. Yeah. So, and let them know they're not alone.
Sure. Sure. The caregiver and the patient. Hang on to your thoughts for just a moment. We are going to have to take a break. Don't go away. We want to get back into talking about Alzheimer's and other dementias and have some suggestions perhaps on what you can do as a loved one if you're the caregiver for someone with Alzheimer's. We'll be right back.